Join us as we dive deep with real indie filmmakers, those creating outside the studio system, sharing raw, unfiltered stories about their artistic vision, personal growth, and spiritual evolution. This isn't about Hollywood's version of indie, it's about the true heart and hustle of independent artistry, where bold dreams meet purpose and art defines the journey. I'm Adrienne Acevedo Lovette.
And I'm John A. Rice.
And this is Real Indie. I guess we can explain why we started this podcast and why we thought it was a good idea. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts that are non-indie filmmakers, and
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
They're like geared toward indie filmmakers, but it's like, here's the editor of Marvel,
right?
Of like the Avengers,
right?
It's like, okay, well.
And then they're like, oh, we shot that on a low budget. It was $10 million, and I'm thinking that is not low budget.
Right.
That's not a relatable low budget to an indie filmmaker. So even $5 million, even $250,000 can be a lot of money. And like I think there was a lot of separation between what is real indie to us, we call ourselves real indie filmmakers, and what the studio system considers an indie filmmaker. And any of those podcasts that it's great to learn about, when people are at that level where they're working with studios, where they're working with big money, their process and how to get there. And obviously it's always a goal to get to that point, but I don't know, it's hard to relate. In any case, we probably should introduce who we are as filmmakers and as people. We're
not just disembodied voices in
right.
podcast world.
Right.
So I'm John A. Rice, and I am part of our filmmaking team. We have two companies that are technically, we're kind of in the process of merging them into one, the Garage Productions and Man of the Crowd Productions. And we produce lots of indie film projects. We produce series and web series and films and new media. And I specialize in the horror space. So I enjoy writing horror and dark genre stuff. I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm also a visual artist, which is where a lot of my attention has been going lately. That's me.
Yeah, you're an award-winning writer and actor, by the way. So yeah, my name is Adrienne Acevedo Lovette. I'm an actor, director, producer, writer. I've been in the industry as an actor professionally since I was at the age of 10. So I've been around for quite a bit, but I was in a lot of theater predominantly. And then it wasn't until 2011, 2012 when I shifted over to TV and film land. And I've been at that ever since. Also as a director. So it's kind of happened simultaneously. My acting and directing kind of went in that direction. Which I was always a big fan of and I loved, and it wasn't until that point that the industry was more open-minded to diverse people on TV and films. So yeah, and I've directed several films, award-winning in regards to festivals. So we've been to a lot of film festivals, and as an actor you've seen me on TV shows like Better Call Saul and The Penguin and a lot of other shows. You can check my IMDb. Right now predominantly I'm more focused on the actor part of my life and the director part of my life. John and I are currently working on another feature film. Our first feature film together was actually called When I'm With You, which was something I wrote many moons ago, back in like 2014.
2014 it was.
Yeah, and we did the festival circuit. It got distribution. It's still out there, distributed, which is amazing because that film we made for $5,000, and
it's almost like an unthinkable amount now to make a feature.
Yeah, when you think of it that way, yeah, exactly. And a lot of people donated their time and talent to make that happen. And then our second feature, because we've made a few shorts in between that, our second feature was I'm Okay, We're Okay, which was in 2021, and kind of a crazy time period to make a movie, but I think part of it was part of the healing process for us. I think both of us needed that artistic outlet. And that film is a psychological drama slash mystery slash suspense slash whatever. There's a lot of things in it. And that one did the festival circuit, won awards as well. And it also has distribution. You can check it out on Tubi. You can check it out on Fossum. You can check it out on Google Play, YouTube TV. So
it's on Amazon too.
It's
right?
on Amazon. Yep. Mm-hmm. So it's doing, it's doing its thing, and we're really proud of it and what we achieved. And now we are in the process of our next horror feature. It's called No One Leaves. It's super exciting. It takes off the moment it starts. Very diverse cast. It's an ensemble piece technically, but we do have one Latina leading lady. We're in the process right now of getting investors. We have some investors already. We're looking for an executive producer. We're looking to co-produce with another company. We've gotten some beautiful feedback on the script. People really love it. So yeah, that's what we're working on right now to make that happen. And
damn, you maybe need to go back and redo my bio.
No. Well, no. I mean,
I said 3 sentences.
I wanted to catch everyone up on what we're doing, and what we've worked on. So John has written several films that I've directed, and I'm lucky that I'm his director. And so John writes a lot of horror films, but it's not like the gimmicky kind. It's the kind that has a lot of story, has a lot of character. It's borderline to drama. It to me, it's the kind that I enjoy watching, and not so much like the gimmicky horrors where it's just for funsies. Although I do like those. I just think that I liked my brain to be altered, so to speak, with horror films and make you think, and it gets in your head and you're like, it's like it's still living in me. So
we always joke that our horror films turn into thrillers just because we like character so much, and they just inevitably kind of take on that extra dimension. But I feel like we're covering a lot of ground really fast. So like maybe we should talk about how we met. And go back to like the early days, and then kind of like build up to where we are now.
Yeah, I mean we met. We worked together. We met at work, basically. We worked at an off-Broadway theater in New York City. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of how we started that way. We were both college students, and
you were in Circle in the Square.
Yeah.
And I was at Fordham.
You were at Fordham. Mm-hmm.
And we were both doing musical theater.
Yes. Yes, we were doing. I love musical theater still, but it's funny because I feel like I love it, but musical theater doesn't love me back. It's like a weird situation. But for a while though, we were doing decently in that world, and I don't know. I fell out of love for it. I think there's a lot of factors too, and honestly, I always loved TV and film. I think I just kind of, because I'm a singer, I kind of got pushed in that direction. Although I do enjoy it, and I grew up, a Disney kid. Like we saw shows all the time, that kind of thing. But I don't know.
Well, I think both of us are character actors, and when we came to New York, it was, I hope you can edit this out if you don't want us to reveal our ages, but it was like the early aughts, and I think at that time theater had been the place where people would go who kind of felt like outsiders. Like it was embracing of lots of kind of misfit types, and that was, where diversity lived. And then by the time we were entering into it professionally, I feel like theater and film were almost switching places in that regard.
They have been.
And that theater felt much more exclusionary. The people who were getting cast were much more cookie cutter. And the people who I was seeing in films began to become much more diverse.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
And that coincided with us transitioning from one to the other.
It did do a big flip, because I remember theater being the only place that I would get cast in. And then now it's hard for me to get cast in theater, but it's much easier for me to get cast in TV and film. But also, just in general, I think we love playing different kinds of characters, and I think we do it pretty well, and not to like toot our own horn, but I do.
That's our podcast. We can toot it away.
Let's toot. Let's toot for sure. I'm really proud of everything that we've kind of accomplished and the journey we've been on together. And we've been working together for so long. We started with cabaret shows and, that world. And then there was like a break because our lives kind of went opposite directions at one point. But then we came back together again and we've been working together ever since 2012 when I came back to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And you came back. Did you come back? I can't remember because, oh my God, this was so long ago. You came back and did you immediately have the idea for When I'm With You?
Yeah. So I started thinking about When I'm With You when I was in Florida.
Okay.
So before I moved, I was already in the process of thinking about that script. Because funny enough, I always loved the idea of writing. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll write a book or, a play. Or actually, I was always thinking I should write like a novel. But then I was like, I'm not a good novel writer. But I like writing, but maybe that's not the kind of writing I should do. And then when I started writing a script, it clicked and it made sense. I was like, this is what my writing is. Because it never worked as a book. It works as a play or as a screenplay. So I was like, oh, that's the kind of writer I am. So then it made it. And on top of that, I personally wanted to act a lead role in something. And I've never been a lead role in something until that moment when I wrote myself that role back in 2014. So that was something that I was like, okay, let's make a dive. Let's do something that's kind of scary. And that time I decided not to direct it because it was a new-ish medium for me. New-ish in the sense that I've never done a feature film or a short film at that point. Like my first film, usually you go for a short film, but my first film was a feature. And I asked my really good friend, and our really good friend, Danny.
Who will be on this podcast.
Yeah, who will be on this podcast, Danny Armando. And he had directed a few shorts by then. And so and a feature maybe? I don't know. Oh, yeah, and a feature. He had already directed what it was. And I loved his style, and I just felt like it would lend well with the script. And then I felt like I could learn by watching, like the process of directing a film in comparison to directing theater. So, yeah, that was the journey, the start of the filmmaking journey.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the character in When I'm With You? Because I feel like not just in this project, I feel like consistently when you write things for yourself, it's because you're trying to break a mold a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, the mold for that character, or just the mold that I'm trying to break through, is that you don't see a plus-size Latina in a lead role that has nothing to do with her being plus-size. Or a lot of plus-size women have a lead role that has nothing to do with them being plus-size. It doesn't have to be a thing. It doesn't have to be mentioned. It doesn't have to be a part of the title. That doesn't happen, unfortunately. And so that was a part of why I felt it was important I played it, which is also the same reason why I wanted to play the lead role in I'm Okay, We're Okay, was to kind of show, hey, here's a person who doesn't look like a Hollywood lead playing a lead. And we would ask people in film festivals if they had a problem with it, like if they were, was it irritating, was it like distracting, and people were like, no, they all loved it, and they all so I think that's kind of my way of trying to shine a light on underrepresented actors, and especially lead actors, because the lead characters I like, and this is our one of our mottos, so to speak, in our company, is putting a spotlight on the sidekick. It's giving the people who always play sidekick roles or supporting roles, whatever, make them the leads. And so So that was part of it too. But also, some of that movie was based on true events, and based on some things that I was going through at the time or had gone through in the past, and also what was happening to the LGBT community, specifically gay men. For me, I grew up in the LGBT community. My mom is a part of the LGBT community as well. And so that's what I grew up surrounded by. I've always felt loved within it, and I've always loved back. And it's a big part of how I grew up. So it's not in every one of our films, but also sometimes it is. And it's a part of When I'm With You was an LGBT film. And then, we have another short film that's also LGBT called Blind Date, which we're working on as a feature. And yeah, I mean, it's part of, I have to write what I know. And I feel like you're the same.
Well, I think, that's with indie filmmaking. It's so hard that I feel like you have to be writing a story that you're compelled to write and that you have lived and feel so deeply about, because it's honestly too hard to make a story that you don't really care about or have to make.
Right.
It's too difficult. But yeah, I definitely think that queer themes run throughout our work for, the reasons you just stated, and I'm a part of that community too. But yeah, I think when you are doing this and throwing your whole soul and all your finances into something, then you have to care about it on a personal level.
I mean, it has to be coming from something that is authentic to you. And I feel like with your work, and even though you tend to write obviously fiction, but you still always put yourself in it. Like there's always characters that emulate you.
Well, I always tell people when they come to me and ask about writing advice, they always ask, I feel like the questions are always geared toward like, how do I get this message into my story, or like communicate this thing? And I always tell people the same thing, which is it doesn't matter what you're writing. At the end of the day, it's coming from you, so you're going to be in it, whether you want to or not.
Right.
Like your subconscious, the things you care about, your values are going to be present in your work, even if the story is about aliens on Mars. You are still, by virtue of you writing this piece, you are going to be present in that piece, and those things are going to come out, so don't even worry about them. So I do write lots of crazy stories, especially in the horror genre, with monsters and haunted houses and things, but I definitely think my personal life comes out in my stories.
Oh, yeah.
And the characters feel like pieces of my brain.
For sure. And that's how I feel when I'm reading it, because I'm like, oh, this is very John. But I love that. And that's how I feel when I'm writing characters, is every character I write, even if it's a bad guy, there's a piece of me in that, which makes it go, whoa, Adrienne's twisted. But, it's...
Well, speaking of bad guys, after When I'm With You, I think that it was the very next year, I had written a script called The Dark Room. It's a feature film, and that won the Blood List. I forget what the exact award was. I think it was the New Blood Award or something. And we produced a horror short called Hidden Daylight, because we wanted to flex our muscles in the horror realm, because that was kind of popping off for us.
Yeah.
And that short had a lot of success.
Yes.
That short got into a ton of festivals, which at the time I took for granted, because I was like, 25 festivals isn't enough or something like that.
Right, I know.
But now I'm like, oh my God, it did so well. That won a bunch of awards and got us some attention in genre work. And
you acted in it.
And you
were great.
That's right.
You were a villain, I guess you could say. You're good at playing villains. It's funny because John is so sweet and such a kind human being, and he plays villains really well.
Well, that's why though, because it's easiest to play what is furthest away from you.
Right.
It's kind of the biggest departure. It's the most fun to play.
There's also something like freeing about that, I feel.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All the urges I repress come flooding out.
Yeah, but no, it's really good. It's actually I'm proud of what we pulled off there. I feel like
$2,000. I think with this podcast, I think we definitely are disclosing like our budgets and how we got the money, because I think a lot of people listening to this are going to be interested in how we made these films.
Right, and that's actually one of the questions that we ask a lot of the people we interview throughout this first season, is how did they acquire funding for their projects? And I think everyone will answer in a different way, but for us, it was a lot of friends and family in the beginning. And
Well, it was just us, I think, a lot in the beginning.
well, yeah, it was like us putting our own money.
Yeah,
because I funded When I'm With You, and I saved the money. It wasn't like, oh, I just have 5,000 laying around. It's like, no, we work, we work side hustles, like, just to make ends meet and to pay bills.
We were working with people who were at our same level, so people just wanted to come on board and have fun shooting a film. And actually, it so rubs me the wrong way as we've gotten older and work on bigger and bigger things, how jaded some people become.
Yeah.
Because there really is something to be said about that, like, beginner spirit.
I know.
So I always try to recapture that. But in any case, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think I could shoot a short film for so little now, just because the people that we worked with have also grown. If you're listening to this podcast and you're truly starting out, you're at like the beginning of your journey, find other people who are in the same level.
Right.
There are people, you can save up $5,000 from your job. There are people who are students who are trying to get experience. Like, you can still make your film.
Right.
Meet people where you are. I think that's the key. Don't expect to get, a DP who's worked on 15 TV shows to shoot your movie for, $150 a day.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
But I think if you find people at your level and rise together, that's kind of the key.
Yeah, I agree. And then in regards to raising funds, we've done the crowdfunding thing. That's like the most tedious, but you get over the fear of asking people. At least I have. Like, I just ask people flat out if they'll give us money or not. And if it's the worst they could say is no. People already know what we're trying to do. People already, at this point, even in the beginning, we were a little bit nervous because we didn't have anything to show for it. But now we have plenty to show for it. So, it's one of those things of like, hey, you want to be a part of this? No? Okay, well, thank you for your time.
I still get nervous.
Really?
Oh, God, I hate it. It's my least favorite part of the whole thing.
I mean, I'm just so honest about it, too. Like, the process of you might not get your money back because there's no guarantee. I mean, this is such a tricky industry. But at the same time, it's to be a part of something fun, entertaining, inspiring, helping artists, working with people who are, underrepresented behind and in front of the camera. There's just a lot of really cool things about creating together. So being a part of that, I think is what I like to kind of bring up in regards to asking people for money. I mean, asking for money is the hardest part. It really is. But and getting that budget, because once you decide what that budget is, you're like, okay.
But all the things you just said are so valid, and it's honestly unhealthy to have a fear of asking for help, because I was raised, I think, with really toxic beliefs about money. I think so many of us were, and there's a lot of shame around it.
Right.
A lot of shame around asking for money, and as filmmakers, I mean, you just have to push through it, because art requires capital. Like, it literally cannot exist without people who are benefactors and angel investors and whatnot. So, I'm in the same boat with all of you out there who feel fear. I hate it, but we do need to get over it.
I know. I mean, and that's what the process we're going through right now for our new horror feature that actually needs more of a budget. We've worked on, as a producer, I've worked on films that were around the $400,000, $500,000 range. And so when we're asking for that kind of, that's not a lot for a feature in reality, but it's a lot for indie filmmakers, because we're, we don't have those connections. Like, we're not born from a rich family that was connected to the industry. So when you don't have those kind of resources where your uncle could just hand you $500,000, we are going from the ground up, and there's a little bit of having to prove yourself that you're worth it, and that's hard. That part's hard. You kind of learn how to get over it, to be honest, because you kind of have to. There's no other option. Like pitching yourself, pitching the project. You got to learn how to do those things.
We're still back in 2017, talking about. We're talking truly, we had just entered the horror space.
Yeah.
We worked. This was our first taste of working with studios, because at that time we had a TV show and we had The Dark Room in a feature version that was kind of almost in pre-production. It was in a very long development period. Those projects fell apart in catastrophic fashions that one day you can find me in a bar and we'll talk about it over cocktails. But it was a huge learning experience of moving up to that next level, expanding our team, working with bigger money, working with producers who kind of wanted to throw their weight around, working with a studio. I mean, all of these were enormous learning experiences at that point.
They were.
That kind of bumped us up, I feel into the next stage of our filmmaking.
It did. And funny enough, I feel ready now for what we were going through then.
Oh, for sure. Now I look back on that and I'm like, ooh, thank goodness.
I know. I was like, what we were going through then, I actually wasn't as ready as I thought. And then now I'm like, oh no, I'm ready for that.
Yes, yes.
And so it kind of, it almost made sense, even though it was slightly traumatic.
It was totally traumatic, but it was a huge learning experience.
Yes, it was.
And everyone I talk to in this industry who's further along has these
been through
horrible war stories. Yeah. So yeah, we got them. We won't go into them this season, but maybe season 2.
Yeah, right.
When the NDAs are over. No, okay.
Right.
So then at that point, you had done Blind Date, which was the LGBTQ plus short
that was
took off
for a film
on YouTube.
challenge. It was like a 24-hour film challenge, and then we decided to submit it to festivals. It did really well, and we put it on YouTube and after the festival circuit. And it's almost 1 million views. It's great. We're happy that it's getting such a good response. But we wrote it so many years ago, and it still gets good responses. So we decided, maybe we should write a feature. So that's what we're doing. And then we did The Dark Room.
The Dark Room short.
Yeah,
was
The
the
Dark
next year.
Room short.
Yes. This was a weird thing that happened coincidentally. My parents' house that my grandfather had built was possessed by public domain, and so they were going to knock it down so that this road could come through.
Which is so crazy.
It still blows my mind. This house, it was 1949 or something, was built. So we had this house for a week before the government came in to demolish it, and when it was still under the ownership of my parents. So I said, well, I have this script called The Dark Room. It takes place in an old house. And we have this old farmhouse sitting empty for a week. Can we create a short film version of the feature? So we hurried up and wrote it, or I guess I hurried up and wrote it. We assembled a 30-person cast and crew and shuttled most of them to Pittsburgh, where my house was. Some of them were New York. Oh, actually, most of them were New York cast and crew. And then there were, I want to say, 10 people maybe from Pittsburgh.
Right.
And we pulled off a little miracle in a week, and we shot this film. We used nicer equipment than we ever had. We used special effects that we never used before. Again, it was a huge learning experience, and we got to memorialize this house, my grandfather's house, on film.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
It is cool.
As a horror movie buff my whole life, I remember sitting in that living room and being like, this house would be so good for a horror movie.
And we finally
did it. And then we did it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of our goals too, and we've always said this, that every film that we make, we want to learn something new. Mm-hmm. So, inevitably, because the scripts are so different, you do end up learning things new, but that's one of our biggest goals, of trying something new that we haven't done before. So that film had a lot of firsts. You know, we had a levitation scene.
That was so
we
cool.
had a lot of practical effects that with with fishing line with monofilament.
It was like old school
Old
theater
school.
production,
Yeah.
magician
Yeah,
techniques.
exactly.
And we had VFX that we had
And
never
we had
worked with before.
VFX, right? And that was a heftier short film because it was an ensemble piece. So when you have a lot more actors and even scenes where there's a lot of actors in one place, it's a learning experience as a director to get the coverage.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of really good people working with us, including your family.
Yes,
you know?
they did. Oh my gosh, my parents were so proud to run Crafty.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. They did a great job, you know, and I thought everyone that was a part of that production was wonderful. I mean, we really...
Oh, it was literally the most fun and most stressful experience of my whole life.
I know.
It really was. Because we only had, I think, 2 months from when I found out that we had the house to when we shot.
Right. I mean, it was really a month that we had to all of a sudden. But we've done things where we were like, oh, we only have 2 weeks. All right, let's go.
For sure.
You know?
For sure. I mean, that just comes from experience.
Yeah.
And from working guerrilla style like we did for so many years.
Right.
Because there are other projects that we haven't talked about. Like we haven't talked about, we did a web series called In Social at one point.
Yeah, hashtag In Social. I also directed a web series called You're the Pest. Which was super fun. It was a buddy comedy, female buddy comedy. And that was a fun learning experience too, because I feel like I don't get to do a lot of comedies, and I really love them. So, you know, that was definitely an experience. And we did The Alliance, which is another comedy. But yeah, I mean, we've been, you know, hitting the pavement and trying to make things happen and trying to stay true to what we love and what we find entertaining, and occasionally we'll put ourselves in it. You know, I think we don't always put ourselves in the stuff that we do, though.
If there's a role that I feel super connected to, I don't write with the object of putting myself in something, but if there's something I feel deeply connected to, like I was in the dark room, and then so the dark room, that post-production festival process got completely derailed by COVID, but then COVID led us into our next big project, which was the feature we kind of talked about briefly earlier.
Yeah, I'm okay,
we're okay, which was kind of the result of lots of COVID trauma and being stuck inside.
Right.
But both Adrienne and I acted in that as well because we felt so deeply connected to these characters and the circumstances that we were writing about. In COVID, we were dealing with so much grief, so much trauma.
Yeah.
And I think that script, you know, was a reflection of that.
Yeah, it was. It was. And it became like a healing tool, which it's funny because I'm the type of person that I need to be happy to create. I'm not like one of these creators that is miserable or sad and then they can like start painting amazing painting or whatever. I'm very much like, if I'm in that depressed state of mind, I cannot do anything. You know, like I'm just kind of a turtle where I'm like in a shell and I don't want to like see anyone or talk to anyone or do anything. So for me, it was different because the writing did become a healing tool.
Yeah.
And that's not my norm. So it was really nice. And then to work together.
Yeah, because you and I got to connect because we were so separate.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, obviously, for everyone in this podcast who's been listening, we've been very close for a very long time.
Yeah.
And so during COVID, you know, Adrienne had just bought a house in New Jersey. I was in Queens.
Yeah.
And we were very far apart.
Right.
So it was nice for that writing process to bring us together, even on Zoom or however we were doing
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And also everyone was staying apart for health reasons. So so that was really, really nice. And then, so I'm okay, we're okay, kind of spawned out back in 2020, I know exactly when, April 2020. I was 4 months pregnant, and unfortunately I lost the baby, but the way I lost it was just a very traumatic situation, and we were all in lockdown, and I had a miscarriage, and Yeah, it was just a crazy time. I almost died. I was bleeding out. It was nuts. And so after going through that, I was in an extreme place of grief. And not only grief, but I think there was a little bit of that postpartum depression on top of that, on top of the pandemic. Like it was just a lot of things stacked up. We were just about to buy the house, and then it got put on hold because of everything. And we almost lost the house, and we were like living out of boxes in the city. So there was just a lot going on. And we kind of ran away. My husband and I ran away from the city for a month and like lived in a log cabin or something. And while that was happening, I would check in to like, there was a lot of people, a lot of artists doing Zoom classes or webinars, or, a lot of people were very kind to take the opportunity and teach people about what they knew about the industry. And so there was just a lot of webinars available. And Sundance Collab had a lot of those as well during that time. And also, Sundance Collab had a filmmaker challenge. It was like a competition each month. So people could just create while everything was going on. So they had a documentary series. I had never made a documentary before, but I was like, okay, well, the subject matter was talk about something that was important to you during lockdown, like during, that is because you're surrounded by so many of your objects at this point. What object in your household is the most important? And so I had this little bean necklace that I was wearing to represent the baby, and that became like the most important thing for me. And I decided to do a little documentary. It was like a 2-minute doc, but it wasn't like it was like almost the last day of submitting, the day before the last. And when I first read the prompt, I was like, man, I don't know. I just can't get my head around it right now and whatever. But then for whatever reason, the day before the last day, it just flooded with ideas of what I'm going to talk about and what I'm going to film. And I did it, and my husband helped me do it. And I made the little documentary, I submitted it, and a few weeks later, I found out that I won, which was really lovely. And that sparked my capabilities of starting to write I'm Okay, We're Okay. And at first, I wanted to write about what I had gone through, but it's just, even now, I think I have a hard time writing about it. Like, it just felt too close.
Again, though, it came out in its own way.
Right. It came out in its own way. And then I felt like a whole bunch of different people at one time because I was going through so much grief that I felt like this person, and then I felt like this kind of person, and then this kind of person. And then I was like, Jesus, I feel like I have multiple personalities, but then, which is now called dissociative identity disorder. And then I started researching that, and I mean, I don't have it, but I learned a lot about it, and I had this like empathy. And then I just started writing a film based on someone who has dissociative identity disorder. And then I told John, and John was like, oh my God, I want to co-write with you. And I said, yes, please, because John is a great writer. And I was like, it's going to be so much better if he's co-writing with me. And then I knew it would get done because I take forever, and I'm my own worst enemy with writing. So I will take a long time to write something, where John is like, let's do this. So, we just made it happen. And I think we both fell in love with the characters, that we were both like, we want to be in this, you know?
Both of the characters are struggling with some mental health stuff and with a lot of loss. Adrienne had just gone through her losses, and then I remember at that time my partner of I guess 5 years it was at that point, moved across the country to go to grad school in the midst of COVID. And we like packed him up and shipped him off, and it was devastating, honestly. I mean, I don't feel like on the same level of what you went through, but you know, on top of everything else that we were absorbing
Yeah.
on the daily with, you know, New York COVID fatalities, it was just a lot. And everyone, you know, nobody knew what was happening with their jobs. Everyone had this huge loss of life and autonomy. And I also felt like I was going crazy.
Yeah.
So I think I responded to that, to the mental health struggles of the characters in the script also. But also it was just a fascinating story. And
Yeah, we wrote something really interesting because it's a story I've never seen another film with that kind of similarity. There's a few films that have, you know, someone with dissociative identity disorder, but I feel like a lot of the times they unfortunately get put in the horror genre.
well, yeah, because they're like murderers.
I know,
It's
and
like
I'm just
the
like,
one
man,
identity wants to like kill
I
everybody.
know.
It's
And I feel bad for the
insulting.
DID community that they're having
Yeah.
to, you know, that's the only representation.
Yeah.
They have a few films that are not that, but a lot of the times that's what it falls under. And so, you know, I was proud that we didn't do that. For I'm Okay, We're Okay, something that was very important to us, even though we're indie filmmakers and we don't usually have budgets for this, but we wanted to be as accurate as we could be um, because none of us have DID. I did know someone with DID. My mom dated someone with DID. But because we don't have it and we did do our research, we hired a psychiatrist who has DID patients to give us his knowledge and interpretation, but also his expertise on what we had written. So even though the film is not about DID in the sense of it's not an educational film about it, we just wanted to be as accurate as possible under a fictional storyline. And funny enough, when we started doing all the festivals and people were watching it, people thought I actually had DID, and these were my DID alters.
They would come up to you after the Q&As and have these like gotcha moments where they were like, you don't have to say, but I think someone has DID. And we're
Right.
like, what a weird
I know.
thing to say to somebody.
And I was like, well,
And
I guess
we should be flattered.
right, exactly. That was interesting. And then we almost ended up in a psychiatry conference that they wanted to show the film to doctors. And I was really nervous about this idea,
It was weird.
to be honest.
It was a strange thing.
Yeah, I was a little nervous about that because I was like, I am not a professional. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not, you know, I'm literally an actor acting a role. I'm glad it was accurate, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
But well, because we didn't want to carry that on our shoulders. We you know, we wrote a fictional movie,
right.
And then you have people like the heads of this organization saying doctors don't know enough about this disorder,
right?
So can we show them your film? It was weird.
Yeah, and I was like, why don't you just watch a documentary on people who have DID, like actual people? But I have to say that, I mean, I guess that means we did our job right?
Yeah.
And so, also, that was the first time I directed and acted a feature. You know, like this was I had directed and acted a short, but not a feature film. So this was a big deal for me as an actor and director. Would I do it again? Maybe.
Yes, you would.
Yes, I would. It just depends on the role.
And you need the team to support you also.
Right, exactly. But I feel like I have that team, which makes me more confident because we have such great teams of crew members that you know, I feel very grateful that over the years we really have a lot of people that we can lean on.
Well, yeah. I keep forgetting that the point of this podcast is indie filmmakers are going to listen to this. Do you want to tell them about like how many people we had on set per day? Because that
in the feature
still stuns me.
I know. So in the feature film, we had a crew of 5 to 7 people each day. That was for I'm Okay, We're Okay. So we chose a smaller camera so that it would be quicker to shoot. It would be easier, especially because we had a lot of car scenes and car driving scenes. So having a smaller camera, a smaller rig made it way more faster than if we had, like a big honky camera that we usually like to shoot with. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. We had a true skeleton crew. Like, people say skeleton crew, we have like 30, 40 people. We're like, no. We had 5 to 7 people on set every day.
But 5 to 7 very skilled people who could wear multiple hats.
Yep. Yeah, and we're completely, I mean, we paid them. They should have been paid more, but we, obviously the indie budget that we had, I'll have to say I'm very transparent about that from the get-go. Like, I tell everybody, like, this is what we're doing. This is how much we have. This is the budget we have for you. If you're welcome to say no. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never forcing anybody into doing it. But luckily, a lot of people had availability. We did shoot it in a way where people could still work other gigs. So we only shot 2 to 3 days a week, and until we were done. It actually helped me a lot, because it allowed me to prep as a director, because I was already memorizing lines, and on top of that, I had to prep as a director, make my shot lists, make my storyboard, all this kind of stuff. And so it gave me that time to break it up in pieces, which was very helpful. And we have a friend that shot their feature within 2 years. It took them 2 years to do. I think everyone gets really obsessed with the idea of, well, we got to shoot it this many days and we need this. But listen, if you want to make your film and you have to do it in pieces, just do it in pieces, Just 3 days here, 2 days here, 1 day here. If you have, just write something that you can do something like that. Write something that is doable for you as your first film. And if you need it, chop it up and have a different kind of schedule and do it on your days off or whatever the case may be. That's how you make it happen. I think we get stuck in the rules of, but that's the beauty about indie filmmaking, is that you don't have to get stuck in the rules of traditional filmmaking. You can break the rules and do something a little more untraditional. And honestly, I feel like that's where the more interesting stories come from anyway. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to ask something that has nothing to do with film.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to ask you the question that we're going to be asking some of our guests. Do you have a daily routine that keeps you focused and grounded?
Yes, sort of. I feel like yes with qualifiers. I do like to meditate every day. I really do feel like it's important to kind of clear the clutter in my brain.
Yeah, I agree.
I also do journaling. I did a program that I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with called The Artist's Way. That was really life-changing for me. I know some people have varied experiences with it, but for me, it really did reshape the way that I treat my inner artist. And one of the tools with that is called morning pages, where you write 3 pages longhand every day and just kind of get whatever out on paper. I find that extremely helpful. I find it extremely helpful because I will complain about something for 4 weeks, but once you've written something so many times, you change it.
Right.
You're like, I cannot write this another day because it's clearly a problem. It's clearly something that needs addressed. I work out strategies for projects. It kind of is a sounding board, and then I'll check in when I get to the end of a journal. I'll go back to the beginning and I'll reread it, and I find that it's almost like my past self is like advising my current self, or vice versa.
Sure.
It really is. You gain a lot from hindsight and seeing your life when you zoom out and you see it the macro level. You're like, oh, I have these habits, or oh, clearly I want to do XYZ that I haven't been doing. That is a really important ritual for me. And then just having a routine, like with my visual art, which has become my daily bread and butter, my daily job. I give myself almost like office hours with it. Like I start every day from 11 to 6. That's what I'm doing. And I give myself a lunch break, and it's almost like I'm my own boss. So keeping a schedule like that is really important. I still do a lot of my old acting techniques, like There's a technique called Alexander, which deals a lot with aligning your body and letting go of tension. I should have done it before this podcast, and I didn't. But I still find, I do that before I have a speaking engagement or a book signing or whatever it is, or a performance. I still do those exercises.
Yeah, I remember Alexander technique from acting school, and I know I don't use it enough, but I really should.
As a tall person, I have to.
Yeah,
otherwise my spine would become a U.
Yeah, you're curving down, looking down at people. Yeah, I mean, my routine's very much similar and along the lines of yours. Also because we were doing the artist way together for a while. But I haven't been writing in my journal as much. It's funny because you like to look back at your journal and I don't. I write it and it's done. Sure. I leave it behind. And I understand your thought on that as well. And so I guess it just depends on the kind of brain or the kind of person you are. I like to write the affirmations. And they've been ever shifting lately, but there's always one that I'm always rewriting and then I keep. The other ones have changed, but there's one that I always keep. And it was something that the book had said to write your the artist way, to write a kind of like the negatives and then make those negatives and flip it to your affirmation as a positive. So one of the things that I had written for myself and still do is you have to say I, Adrienne, or I, John, or I, whatever. So you say I, Adrienne, am wanted and needed by the TV and film industry at the highest level. And so that's something that I've written for years now as my reminder of myself that I'm wanted and needed, because I think one of my negative thoughts about myself is that I'm not. And so that's something that I have to be no, your story matters, you matter, people that look like you matter, that kind of thing. And because, when you don't see yourself on TV and film, it feels like you're symbolically annihilated in a way,
there's no place for you.
Yeah, exactly. And
sure.
So that's one of the things that I write in my journal, besides other things that I'm trying to achieve. But I also... I think I do meditate. I meditate in the morning, and I try to meditate somewhere in between the day if I have time. And that doesn't mean sitting around for an hour. It means a 5-10 minute meditation. But and then at nighttime I try to meditate before going to sleep, because if not, my brain and my dreams go haywire. But which is proof, because our horror feature No One Leaves, the newest one, is literally from a dream I had.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. They do go haywire. But besides that, the scheduling, how you schedule your art from 9 to 5, so to speak, that's kind of how I schedule my artistic, and I don't know how to say that, that I schedule, that's the only way that I can get things done is by scheduling. And the way that I'm able to do so many projects at once or be a part of so many projects. Because right now I'm a director for 3 different features that are all in a weird place at the moment. They're all in different stages. And the only way I can concentrate on our stuff and that stuff and acting and I have to schedule it in a way where from 1 to 3 I'm doing this project, from 3 to 6 I'm doing this project, and so on and so forth. So that's the way that I'm able to be a part of so many things. But also it's just I don't know, in filmmaking there's just a lot of waiting. And there's a lot of waiting in set, which is really funny, but there's a lot of waiting before anything happens, and you're doing the meetings and you're going through the process and you're getting things ready, and it's just, you're kind of waiting for it to finally be greenlit 100%. And it's the same thing with acting. You're auditioning. But in that in between, while we're waiting, I'm not good at resting. I'm good at let's make things, let's create things, let's do something, let's write something, let's act in something, and I think that is important to exercise that muscle as an artist. As any artist, honestly. It's the same.
Which is why you're doing the new series shot on iPhone.
Yeah, that's true. Because I can't sit still and just wait any longer.
I'm the same way. I can't.
Yeah, the iPhone, I mean, hello, you have a movie camera in your pocket. Why not? Like, what's stopping you from creating something and shooting something? You can make an amazing documentary on an iPhone. I mean, I shot a 2-minute horror on the iPhone 16 Pro. It's getting views and it was fun to do. And I intend to do a few more because it's helping me as a director work with actors, but also try different styles of filmmaking. Like, it's so easy to try different styles in this capacity and not have to worry about a budget. So to speak. I mean,
there's a freedom to it.
Yeah, there's a freedom. And honestly, when I'm making these iPhone shorts, because I have a few more that I'm writing and I'm planning on shooting, because my goal was to shoot one a month. What's fun about, well, I mean, it's super fun just to create in general, but I'm the cinematographer as well. So I'm not like asking people to donate, literally, like the gaffer and the cinematographer, like, come and, hey, listen, if I have any of my friends that listen to this and they're like, I'm down to do this for free, let's do it, I am down too. But I'm not asking anyone to do that for me. I'm literally everything: the sound person, the camera, the director, my husband will sometimes get the the free work. And then the only thing I'm asking is actor friends, like, would they donate their time? And if no, it's okay. But I feel like, hey, listen, donate your time, and I would love to direct you. It allows me to get to know them more. And then also, I'm putting something out there that I promise will not be shitty. And
it's also fun.
And it's super fun. It's just like, why not? What are you doing tomorrow for 3 hours? Okay, let's make a movie. Like, why not? Like, play. It's like being a kid again. It's
really
keeping
important.
that kid alive in you. And that's such a huge part of creating. Look how much we create as children. Like, I think that's like where you can come up with the best ideas, is having that mentality. So that keeps my child alive personally.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's a new routine I've created. It's a new routine. So this is another question we're going to ask our guests. But John,
yes,
do you have a belief system, spiritual or non-spiritual, that helps you during uncertain times? So when things are not going great in your life at the moment?
I do have a deep spiritual system in place. I mean, I illustrated a deck of tarot cards, so I hope that I would have a spirituality.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe, and this has been my experience, that we live in a responsive universe. That there's that old, I don't remember, it's like, I guess it's a scientific formula, when a force is put out, it's met by an equal and opposite force.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I feel that is very true, even like cosmically. Like, if you make a thing and you put it out into the world, it will be met by a response. Even if it's not the response that you want or you're hoping for, there will be some sort of pushback. And it's up to you to say, okay, well, I shook the apple tree and all these like lemons fell out. Right. What to do with them? You know what I mean? But the more that you shake the trees, the more that you're going out and putting your stuff out there and seeing what happens, there is a response to that. But it's your responsibility to make that first move. So I guess relating this back to a spiritual system, I believe in a responsive universe. And so I also do a lot of like ancestor work in my creative practice. So like, actually, you got me for Christmas one year that little altar. It's a little picture frame and a little candle, and it has Adrienne printed out all these pictures of loved ones of mine who passed away, people who had some sort of impact on me and who I try to hold in my thoughts. I will dedicate my artistic practice every day to someone or to a group of them. thinking about, whatever skill or quality or personality trait I am trying to embody that day, whether it's kindness or creativity or, a good work ethic. I will dedicate my creative practice, whether it's writing or art or movie making, to someone every day. I think art in and of itself is very spiritual. I think creativity is an act of faith. You are literally bringing something into being that didn't exist before.
Right.
And that takes an almost sort of religious, spiritual amount of belief that you'll be able to do this thing and that it will be received. And I do write for guidance. So like when I'm journaling, I will write out questions that I have, especially in really deeply uncertain times. And I will often instantaneously know the right advice or the right response that is needed. Like it'll just be there. And so from a spiritual standpoint, like I don't know where that comes from. It might just be my own instinct. Inner knowing, my own instinct knows the right thing to do. But it has yet to fail me. So when I'm going through a really rough time, I'll say, hey, what do I do about finances this month? Or, hey, should I reach out to my publisher about this project, et cetera, et cetera. And like I said, almost instantly I'll know the right answer. So I do believe that we know what's best for us deep down. And again, whether that's like a higher power or, some energy that we can't identify, I don't know where it comes from, but I do think that it is real and that we all have the capacity to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel I tend to do something similar where if I'm in a dark state or my anxiety is up or I just don't know what the next steps are, I'll start writing it all down, and then somehow the answer to my question gets answered. And again, it could be a combination. It could be spiritual, it could be intuition, it could, something about writing things down helps. And I never used to be a writing things down person, but over the past 5 years, I've definitely adopted that.
Were you a person who learned like in school by like writing things? Because sometimes I think maybe a lot of us nowadays kids do everything on computers. Like they take notes in class on computers. I feel like when we were in school, we had to write notes, and that kind of solidified things in our brains. So I wonder if that's why that's so powerful for us.
Yeah, I guess maybe I was, or maybe it makes sense.
Or also just putting our thoughts physically into the world.
Right.
It gives them a different sort of weight.
Right. Well, you take it out of you, it's on the paper, it's now there. The weight of that thought is lifted a little bit, because now you've transferred the energy. And now it's in a holding place until you decide, okay, well, when do I need to come back to this? Or, so a lot of energy work. But we have to think about or deal with these things because the industry is so up and down, and it takes you on this ride of up and down where it can put you in such a depressed state when things are not aligning or working, or you're not booking things, or whatever, because we really are people who need to create. Like, it's just a part of who we are, and so when we're not doing it, we can get into dark places, I think. And so finding these routines, these spiritual connections, whatever grounds you, whatever keeps you afloat, I think that kind of routine is very important. Over the years, I've noticed how important it is for me. As I get older, keeping myself sane, but it's also an interesting outlet too. It becomes an interesting artistic, creative outlet as well.
What does?
Just these routines.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Like even through meditation. I remember I was meditating, and that's how I came up with another idea for another film. Right before we were going to shoot I'm Okay, We're Okay, I was already plotting out the other film. We hadn't even shot I'm Okay, We're Okay yet. And but that was through meditation, and I think resting your brain allows you to to be even more creative or problem solve. But yeah.
It's like a reset.
Yeah, it is. For sure.
And it lets you tap into something deeper.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel
too.
like there's a lot of surface level things in our brains because we're literally inundated with information all day long.
Right.
It literally never stops, like minute to minute.
Right.
And
right.
when we slow down and get quiet, that's where the creativity comes from.
Right.
You know, that's where our inner voice speaks from that ultimately gives over to these big projects.
Well, and what do you do as, you know, a writer, actor, producer, when things are slow to the point where you're like, I don't know where the next gig's going to come from. I don't know when the next, like, how do you personally handle that? What are things that help you get out of a funk from that?
It's hard. I mean, I'm not going to act like I don't get into funks about it. I do. I'm in one right now.
Right.
But the truth is, I also have accepted at this point that the artist's life is filled with these periods of unknown. It is a period of unknown.
Yeah.
You're just always back to the same point where, like, you could be riding high on the biggest, you know, like Netflix project that you just were a series regular on or whatever. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, well, all right, what am I doing this week? You know,
right.
it's really kind of this like mind fuck in a way. And I think that a lot of it is just trusting that what goes up must come down and you'll be back on top again, and really having projects in the pipeline that fulfill you creatively, really enjoying the process of creation.
Right.
Finding a way to enjoy your daily work. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to just create when you have no guarantee that anything is going to come from this project. You don't know if people are going to see it. You don't know if people are going to like it once they do see it. And it goes back to that issue of faith again. You just have to have faith in yourself that it's going to work out. And, find your touchstones, find the things that ground you. Go to the woods if you have to.
Right.
Go to your loved ones, to your support system. But it's not easy. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, we figured it out, because it's truly difficult.
Yeah, it is. It is. And, I think also what's difficult too is when you're working a side hustle that has nothing to do with what you want to do in your career and life. And you're like, but I got to pay the bills. That also can be daunting and tedious to your, it can bog you down and put you in a dark state. Because I know I've battled that too. The ups and downs of 1 minute I'm on set and everything's great, and then the next day I'm back to my regular job, and that kind of life. And unfortunately, that's the reality of a lot of us, actually. That's tough too. And I think there was something that I took away, and I can't remember where the idea came from, but I do remember the conversation I had with my friend Anthony about this, and how, when we're as actors and as directors and whatever, as creators, we're hungry, right? Like we're like, oh, I need the next gig. I need the next gig. And we kind of get a little obsessive, like, the next gig, where is it coming from? And it's better to try and divert that feeling of desperation, because that's really what makes you messed up in the head in a way that puts you in a depressed state, is this need, right? Like, I need this. I need, almost like a drug. Like, it becomes like, I need the next gig, that kind of thing. And it's better to reassess and go, okay, what is it that I need from the gig, and can I get it somewhere else in a healthier way? And instead of needing it, I want it. And in wanting it makes it it's more clear. And then you're going in without the desperation, and you're going in, you're making good choices, having fun, being present, and taking away that need and putting it somewhere else, And so that's what I've been trying to do for myself too, is okay, yes, I need it in reality. You know what I mean? But all right, I'm not going to go in here with desperation. I'm not going to go to this interview or to this audition with a desperate mentality of like, I need this gig, right? And just go, okay, I can get my need from somewhere else, which is when I start creating my own stuff, when I'm making my own things, and when I'm in charge of my own destiny, so to speak, in regards to my projects and what I'm a part of. And then I go in with a different mentality, and I'm just like, just having fun with it, trying things, being present, and enjoying the process as opposed to hating it. Because that's the thing, if you start hating what you love, then why are you doing it to begin with? So you do have to kind of pivot your thought process, because it is tough.
Yeah.
It is tough. But
creating your work is definitely a great solution, but you also, I think, need to create it because you enjoy creating it, not to gain something from it.
Yeah, like I think if you're going in with the idea of, I'm going to make this because it's going to go viral, it doesn't work that way. I mean, I know there's a lot of classes that are like, oh, we'll help you make things go viral and all this shit. But like in reality, I think it has to fulfill you as an artist, and it has to be authentic, and it has to, in a way, you have to create it because you have to. It's just in you. You want to do it. And
it genuinely has to be who you are.
Yeah, and I think honestly that's where the true audience comes from. Because you're being so vulnerable. People look at that and go, "Oh my God, they're just like me," and then they connect to that, and then the specificity of a story can also be relatable universally. So because you're being so specific and detail oriented. And so I think all in all, we're here with you, going through the same process of the ups and downs, just like all of our fellow indie artists,
we are all in this together, but at the same time, there's like a great beauty in that. We live in a time when art is super undervalued, when literally what we do is not given the importance or the funds that it deserves, but we just have to continue to support each other and to just make cool shit, and to just make stuff that doesn't necessarily even have to be that good. Just keep doing it.
Right.
I mean, that's the point, really. Just like do it for the fun of it.
Yeah.
And try not to lose that joy.
Right.
One of our friends asked me the other day, actually this is a question that I get asked a lot. He said, what do you do when you're feeling uninspired, or like when you're feeling down and out or something? And I said, well, you do something to have fun. You go out and you have fun. And because I feel like so many times when we're feeling down or feeling low, we tighten up. We like become really constrictive with ourselves, and we kind of make it worse. It's like we treat ourselves worse, when in reality, when we're feeling down, we need to go out and do things that bring us joy and make us feel like kids, and like do something silly and ridiculous. I think that's the key, is to just keep that spirit alive.
Yeah, and I love that, keeping that inner child accessible, so to speak, and alive, and always present. But also something that I've learned too is that this is such a me industry in a way. Like, we are our product basically, and so something that also helps me is not to do something that has nothing to do with me, to help someone else.
Sure.
Selflessly, with no agenda, and just pivot your attention to helping someone else and not make it about you. I think that's also very helpful. And in a way to even like pass down your knowledge as an artist, or to help, help someone clean their house, or to, like something where it's productive and it takes you out of your funk and zone of like, oh, my life, and you go and you just make it not about you, but make it about helping someone else. I think that kind of helps reset me in a way, or look at things in a different perspective. But yeah, I mean, what we do is very hard, but it's also pretty amazing. and how we achieve it. And it really does take a village to make a movie. It's a miracle that movies are even made,
It is
honestly.
a goddamn miracle.
It really
like,
is.
It truly is.
It really is. Like, when you see the process of it, you're just like, how? You know, like, this is, you bring together a whole bunch of people that barely know each other most of the time, and they work together and they make something cool, you know, and that's a miracle on its own. And as indie filmmakers, we do that with no money. So I feel, you know, what we do and what we achieve is pretty remarkable. And I am very grateful for the people that are around me, that are, you know, with me on this journey. I think it's very important that we grow together. You know, I used to be really into like, oh, how can I skip from A to Z? And now I'm just like, no, I'm good at going up the alphabet with the people I love working with, and growing together and learning together and creating together. You know, you see that a lot with the big, you know, like Steven Spielberg always has the same crew of people that he works with.
Yeah,
Tim Burton, like everyone has their people, because it really is, once you find your crew, you kind of just want to stick with them, because it's fun to make art together, and it's more it's fulfilling, and it's also what's the word I'm thinking, more efficient.
Yeah.
It's more, it becomes more efficient the more you work together, you know. And yeah, I'm just proud of what we've achieved together, you know, and I look forward to all the things we're going to achieve next.
Me too. But we still have so much more to talk about. So that will be in future podcast episodes, because I feel like we've just scraped the surface.
I know we do have a lot.
And stuff. Yeah. Let us know if you have anything that you'd like to talk about or hear more about. I feel like that's
for sure.
will be an important guide going forward in making this podcast. And also, if there's any particular aspect of filmmaking you're curious about, let us know. So thanks for being here with us for our inaugural episode.
Yes, we're very new to this, so we appreciate your patience.
I know you couldn't tell at all that we were new to this.
But we're excited to have a podcast like this, and hopefully it goes far, and everyone learns something, and then you feel like you're a part of a community of some kind. You know, that's really what it is just building a community. That's always the goal, honestly, with these kind of things.
Yep, we're here for you.
Yep. And I hope you're here for me. Just kidding. Just kidding. Much love, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to Real Indie. If today's conversation sparked something in you, like it, share it, and keep creating. This episode was brought to you by The Garage Productions and Man of the Crowd Productions, where purpose meets storytelling and stories are made from the ground up. Until next time, keep it real, keep it indie.